Good morning. Go live. We're getting used to this, aren't we? Good morning, bonjour, hola. Is it working? Hello there. Come on in. Early to the party, 5 to 10. Come on, grab a seat. It's owls again. Owls about that then. Oh, I can't say that. Come on in. God, it suddenly got warm in here again. Lovely weather today in Crowborough. Beautiful, sunny day. How about where you are? Tell us where you are. Where are you doodling with us? Let us know. Good morning, guys. Come on in. Always lovely to have your company. It's a really great little community now, isn't it? I'm much more comfortable this week because we're hanging out at 10 o'clock. I was a little bit rudderless last week on my holiday because I didn't know what to do. Didn't have a clue what to do. Cool, do you remember that song? Do you remember that song? Oh, in the 70s. Ghostbusters. Yes. And who sang it? Sweet. I don't know. I'm showing my age now. I tell you what, I know Steve Ellen wouldn't have a clue, would you, dear? Steve Ellen's in the building with you today. He wouldn't have a Scooby. I wouldn't have a clue what to do. Do you remember? Oh, to be young again. We enjoyed the 70s, didn't we? Well, the bits that we remember. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's good job it's not live. Facebook. Come on in, grab a seat. You rock. You do, your artwork's amazing. All the way through Clarity Worldwide yesterday I was checking in on the owl progress. Wow. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, my tea's already cold. Yeah, it's amazing how just a couple of little tricks and tips, you know, transformational, isn't it? So today, it's a little bit of a recap, finishing up the owls, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 owls, 3 days. And I want to show you a little glimpse of where we're going tomorrow, because we're going to do the second layer back. We're doing the owls, then we're going to do the leaves and the trees, and then on Friday, we'll do the sky. But I've already worked out the contrast that I want. But you may want to do it differently. You see, to my mind, owls come out at night. Owls are a sort of a night bird. You seldom see them in the daytime. Do you, really? And so I thought, right, we better be a dark sky then. Dark sky, night sky. Come on in, good morning, everybody. What's the time? Let's have a look. 2 minutes to. I'll drink my lukewarm tea. Maybe the kettle didn't boil properly. I've got to keep my eye on the batteries for this one. What's the volume like, Steve? What's the sound like? Is it okay? Let's just check. You get 3 bars, full batteries. I'm on 2 bars on this one. There's 2 things going on here. I'm on 2 bars. When it gets down to 1 bar, I play it safe. It's like petrol, isn't it, in the car, you know? And you get down to the red light. I'm not at the red light yet. You get down to the red light and you think, can I go another 50 miles? Shall I risk it? It's something that Dave likes to do. He does. He likes to see if a car can run on steam, on vapour. I don't know how many times we've rolled into the garage because he wanted to see how empty he could get it. Is it a man thing? I don't know. Sounds fine. I'll let you know if something happens to the sound. Thanks, Steve. How are you going to let me know? Drive over and throw things at the window? Yes. Text me. Everything's fine. It's 10 o'clock. Good morning. Come on in. We're going to crack on with the owls. Welcome to the SHAC. Safe, happy and creative. Stay home and craft, which is what we're doing, isn't it? Hey? Best place for us. Certainly is. And so Monday, Tuesday, we really did a great job on the owls, didn't we? Different techniques, colouring techniques, isn't it? It's amazing what effects you can get with a few pencils. I'm sorry if your pencils haven't arrived yet. But, you know, somebody on Clarity Worldwide, it was brilliant. She just used an HB pencil and it looked just dynamic. It was all grayscale, just fabulous. Yeah, so, you know, it is what it is. We're working as hard as we can. Some of the things are out of our hands. We're peddling like nutters, trying to keep on top of things. We're caught between a rock and a hard spot here. You know, we need the orders, but we're running and I'm here and there and, you know. So bear with us. You understand, don't you? Nobody's just sitting around, I can tell you that. I wish. So let's get on with the owls and we'll see where we got to yesterday. Right, here we are, look. Do you remember I said that we would do that one for homework? I mean, mine are quite light because I haven't put the depth in yet. I want to get all three of them done to this level, and then I want to go in and darken and lighten all three together, if you know what I mean. I don't want to make one really dark and then the other two have to follow suit. Look at her. She's really funny, isn't she? Look, she's got the same glasses on as me. Look, exactly the same. These are my Dame Ednas. And in case you're wondering why on earth I wear glasses like this, it's because they're really, really strong, but they also look ludicrous. So, and I believe that if you wear really strong magnifying glasses and you wear them over a prolonged period of time, like I'm looking at you over the top of them, I think if you wear them all the time, your eyes get reliant on them and dependent on them. And so I wear these ridiculous looking ones, like, and I know that if I go out in public in them, people will stare at me and then I'll know it's definitely because of the glasses. So that's why I wear my Dame Ednas with my diamantes. Right, let's have a look. But they're great because I can actually see what I'm doing. Have you gone this far as well? Have you? So what I wanted to do now was I wanted to show you a little trick. We were using those, these are the postcards, just in case you're surfing the net and wondering what we're up to. These are the postcards that we use, right? There's the owls on the green set. So we've done the nuthatches, we've done the mandarin ducks, haven't we? Look, we've done the cockerels. All this is all on YouTube, all the tricks and tips. Loads of different ideas, wasn't it? And the only one that's missing here is the nuthatches are there as well. There you go. Excellent. What have we got on that one then? Oh yeah. The hummingbirds. That was the other one that we've done. The hummingbirds in the blue set. I want to try the kingfishers. They're Paul's favourites. What have we got here? Flamingos. I dreamt about flamingos. What is going on with me that I dreamt about flamingos last night? I don't know. Right, come on, let's get going. And what I want to do is use, do you remember in the background, just to recap, it's that warm grey and cold grey number 2. So it's 271 and 231. It's these two that give you that lovely, that snowy owl. Let's have a look up close. See? There's the one on the static camera, the big one. And then this is where I'm at the moment on the small postcards, look. The big ones from the big colouring book. And what I've done is, let me just hold it tight so you can see it. You can see the V more, because what I did was I took a browner colour, I think it was 180, and I actually feathered in V's. Do you see? So we could do that now as well. I couldn't see my V's and I was getting bored with stippling, dot, 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 dot. And so I thought, right, I'm going to add my V's physically. Let me just find my pen. 180, there it is. Raw umber. So what you need is a couple of greys or a black and press hard. Don't press so hard, press lighter and lighter, right? And then what we're going to do is use this one, the brown. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. You see where the V's are? Remember I said there were the that marking. So what I've done is I've just really lightly gone through like that, so you can see I'm just accentuating the V's just randomly. Look, just a couple of little lines like that, but it will make it obvious where the V is then. Just there you are, see? So you can do a little bit of that as well if you fancy. There, see the V up here is not very strong, is it? But if I do this, just because it's such a light colour, I mean, you don't want to do a zigzag. It's not a hot air balloon, is it? It's a feathering. It's markings on a bird. Am I close enough, do you think? Can you see well there? Yeah, I think so, because you want to be able to see the whole bird, don't you? So let's have a little recap. I haven't done his face yet, sorry. But I tell you what I have done. Shall I show you? Nice. Look, this is what we're going to do. I was experimenting with colour, and I thought what would be really, really cool is this is what we're going to do to tomorrow and then Friday. So I'm ahead of myself here. I thought what we would try to do with pencils is do an ombre, like a real graduation, like an airbrushed effect. So it's really, really dark at the top, darkest black blue at the top, and then it comes down. And as it comes down to the trees down here, it's very, very light. I thought that would be a really good lesson. And then the other thing was, because of that, I wanted the leaves to not be too dark, because I wanted them to pop. So what we're going to do is do the leaves with a really light yellowy, greeny, lemony colour, because I thought they would really stand out well. Yeah. So just so that, I think it's good when you know where we're headed as well. It makes me feel better. So that was me practicing. Shall we have a go then? Are you ready? Now let's have another slurp of this cold tea. Is it good for your complexion, cold tea? Probably is if you're washing it. Right, come on in then. So we're going to use the warm grey first, just to create that under colour. Remember, this is what we're doing, isn't it? Just to recap. Sometimes I find when I leave a day and I go back, it seems to have sort of percolated, like sunk in what I'm doing. Let's have a look here. Right, little circular motions. Just getting that undercoat down, isn't it? Right. And I've got a kind of a flat, I'm using a flat chisel. Just taking out the whiteness, isn't it? Right, let's mind the leaf and mind the leaves and mind the little white dots. There we go. It's a relaxing game. That's what this is, isn't it? Just a relaxing game, guys. That's all it is. This is like going for a run. If we were energetic people and we went jogging, that would be how we would get rid of our anxiety but we don't, do we? I don't like running. Do you like running? I hate it. That is not my idea of fun. Never was. Take the grey one now, just to recap. Remember we did it yesterday? And then you're actually going to go down the lines that Mel's drawn for us, like that, and then around, like that. So you go down the line, like feathery strokes, that way and that way. And then when you get to the eyes, then you just go round them. See? Go round them like that. And then, so you go through the, it's good really, it's easy. Round like that. And then a bit of grey. If it gets a little bit too flat and you feel you're losing then just turn your pencil. I mean, these colours are so light that you're not really gonna look. It's interesting though how it looks. What's fascinating is when you see the development, how you can change it, look. So today I know we're repeating what we did yesterday, but I'm cool with that. Sometimes you need to just chill because we know what we're doing now. You know what you're doing as well, and that's the difference. See, when you've done it once before, and you've already adjusted and changed and realised that you needed less pressure, or once you've done something once before, then the second time is more relaxing, isn't it? When we do the doodles, like when we do the penning, the zenning and the penning, right? When we're drawing with the pencils, it's really concentration work, isn't it? It's not easy to relax that much when you're illustrating. But when we go over it with pen, when we take a micron pens and we go over the top, it's actually quite therapeutic, isn't it? So that's the difference, I suppose. And we did that one, we had to really focus. But this one's easy because we've already done it once. So I thought we'd enjoy a little bit of a midweek Zen session. How's that? Yeah. Because it's not supposed to be stressy. This is supposed to be fun. Well, relaxing. Do you not find it relaxing? I do. I find it very relaxing. I'll tell you what else I find. And I don't know if you understand me, but I feel this, right? There's a lot to be said for being together doing this, right? I know we do that for homework, we do that on our own. That's great, you hone your skills, and it also gives you, it gives you a little respite as well, doesn't it? When you're doing this work. When I was preparing these things and catching up with you, I'm in the zone. Of course I'm in the zone, yeah. But now when we're together doing this, see, some of you super achievers, you might be thinking, well, I already know how to do this. I don't need her to tell me how to do this. It's like, yeah, but it's not about that, is it? It's not a paid masterclass. It's us hanging out together. And for me, what I find, try not to spit at your artwork, right? What I find is just knowing that there are a bunch of us all doing this together. There's a lot of strength in that for me. There's a lot of, I don't know. Oh, there's a lot of, what's it called? It's like a camaraderie, or it's powerful, It's like, we're a lot more powerful together. A lot stronger together than the sum of our parts. You're good, you're good, you're good. You're all, as individuals, you're all creatives. I'm creative, you're creative. As individuals, we've got energy, haven't we? Creative energy, one-on-one. But when we all get together, we create a much, much, much stronger energy. That's what I think. I can feel it. And I tell you why I feel it, is because I felt its absence last week. That was the weirdest thing. I felt its absence. And so, doesn't that look nice? I'm not sure what to do about the tail feathers yet. So when in doubt, hang about, right? We'll worry about them afterwards. Right, you see these bits here, the dividers, you need to have a different colour really, don't you? Otherwise it all moshes into one. So how about we just change the colours slightly? Have you got a yellowy colour or a cream? This is nice. Shh, Strohgelb, straw yellow that's called in German. It's not straw yellow at all. I really need to get in touch with these people and talk to the bloke who's naming their pencils. Right. Let's just add a little bit of cream in there. Yes. Just for the moment. And even maybe in that little bit yesterday. Do you remember when we did that? Let's do that as well. Right, so we've got a bit of a neck thing going here, haven't we? And what we want to do there, oh, you know, because it's the same bird, let's do the warm grey first, just to get that colour in. The thing about this bit, right, have a look at the foot, because we're going to use the same sequence for the foot as well, for the feet. Let's do the feet as well. Right. So, got that warm colour in, lightly. Right, hang on, let me get my... That's it, just soften that up a bit. M is to what? Oh, look. Melikalikimaka. Do you remember? Melikalikimaka is a thing to say. Oh, cool, that was a holiday. Hey, do you remember? Seems like ages ago we were in Hawaii. It was only a couple of weeks ago. Huh? Right, here we go. So we're just going to add a little bit of over the top. Yeah? So we've got light, then we've got a little bit darker, and then I think we need to go a number darker again. What have we got here? Cold grey 3. So it's not that much colder, is it? Let's have a look. That's 2, and that's, oh yeah, okay, substantially different. Yeah? So if I press a little bit lighter, okay, cool. So we'll turn it round. So I want to, you know what I keep, let's do this again. I never know whether you've heard this or not. If I do that and I make a flat on that side, then that's nice and soft, isn't it, to get in? But if I flick the pencil round 180 degrees, I've got that sharp edge, and that's what I need to get in on that edge there. Yeah? So I've flicked it round, so I've got the sharp edge of the chisel in there. See, it's easier to do that than keep sharpening the pencil. Right. Right, here we go. And then light feathery strokes. You see how you get the graduation? Can you see that all right? I think so, can't you? So we're just doing areas that we haven't done yet before. That'll look good. Right. If you feel you've overcooked it, or, I shouldn't have done so much, enter the red rubber, right, the red eraser. You can always take it back a bit. Look, if you think you've done too much, or you've gone over the edge, it doesn't matter because this is going to be a really dark blue sky. But if you want to, the red rubber, perfect for the polychromos, okay? And we haven't done any blending yet at all with the blending nibs. I tell you where I did do this though, and that's how I got that, is with the blending nibs. That's really important to get this sort of seamless graduation. Yeah, so we'll be doing that on Friday. Right, so I've got that one done that bit there. Don't worry about his face. I'll do his face, I'll catch up. You know, there's only so many hours in the day for grey. Right, now the next thing is the stippling. God, can you hear all the poetry coming out here? Right, so the next thing is the stippling. Which one shall I use first? I think we'll go with the light grey. Do you remember we said we'll play it safe, didn't we? We'll go with the light grey, only because it establishes the V's. Do you remember? So we're going to go, let's just see. I'm going to go that one there. That one will work. Yeah, okay. So we're going to go there. Do you remember I said about holding the pencil down further so you've got more control? Then you're going to go to that one and back up to that one. down to that one. And this is what's going to give us this marvellous pattern. Now, so we go there and we seem to have lost one. So we go up to there, pretend, and then come down. That'll do. There you go. And then this one, we don't want to make diamonds, so this is this one now. They're very realistic in a very arty way, aren't they, these owls? That's what I like about them. I remember years ago we were in New Mexico, and we were driving along. We were going back to the airport, actually. We were going back to the airport, back to Albuquerque, and the flight was at stupid o'clock, and it was like 5 in the morning or something. And on the road, it's a bit sad really, was an owl, like dead. It obviously been hit by a truck, or it had flown into a truck, because the only thing, you know, these big juggernauts, you know, those big huge rigs, the American rigs, I can only imagine that it must have flown into a rig. Anyway, it was massive, and it was a horn-eared owl. It was such a shame, right? It had huge ears, but what was, because we got out, because we thought it might still be alive, and we thought, well, maybe we'd be able to help it. The size of this owl, I mean, you don't usually get that close to them, do you? But the wingspan on this owl and the size of its feet that blew me away. They were so big, and it had like it was like fingers, and they were really, really furry. Amazing. The size of these birds. Powerful birds. You know, powerful animals. Beautiful as well. So it was really sad, yeah. But, you know, it is the way it is. It is what it is, right? That's the bottom line. Right, zigzags. We cool with this? So we use a light grey, you see, to do this. And then we can always go back in and recreate that. We can enhance it afterwards, can't we? That's what we're going to do. Yeah, it's good. Right, so I've done that one and that one. So really, oh, right, here we go. Yeah, that's it. Is everybody happy? You all right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're on telly this afternoon. 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock on her Chanda. Really nice designs. I love the dandelions. See, Mel, our friend Melanie, she's just got. She's a cartographer. Many of you know this. She used to be a map drawer, so she draws with a cartograph, which is amazing. Really, it's like a pen on a swivel, and that's how, when you look at her artwork, you can imagine she draws all of this artwork on a pen that's on a pivot. So you can imagine, look, just think of motorways, right, or maps. You see, underneath, over the top. It's just crazy when you know that she's a cartographer and she works with a cartograph. Then you realise her artwork has a very, very specific. It has a very special style. And if I show you, right, I'll show you what the dandelions. Look, this is, for example, this is the die cut, the fresh cut die that's on the telly this afternoon. Now, think about what I just said about motorways, like, look, Spaghetti Junction. But you can understand exactly Mel's style from this. You see what I mean? And you can imagine having a pen with on a pivot and being able to just draw these perfect lines. It's clever, isn't it? And if you've got the colouring books or the postcards, which you have, obviously, if you're doing this, you have a look. Just have a look at the different styles, right? And the different pictures. And then think to yourself, think cartographer. And you'll smile because you'll realise. Fantastic, really, that she was able to adapt to our kind of art. Because, of course, top cartographer, senior, and then overnight, with the dawning of the computer age, they were obsolete. Who needed a mechanical, who needed a hand-drawn map anymore? Do it all online, do it all on your computer. And so she became completely redundant. And then Dave and Mel, they've been friends since they were kids. They used to hang out as teenagers together, right? Music. And I remember when Dave and I got together, he kept saying, "Oh, I'd love you to meet Mel. She's a really good friend of mine. And you'd really get on with her." And it took a little while for me to meet her, but we've been best friends since. We just gelled, like when you meet somebody and the chemistry's just like that. And that's how I got to know Mel. How's your owl coming along? Cool? So what we need now, we've done the light so we know where the zigzags are, don't we? So the next thing we'll do is go to a brown. Let's go to, go on, you say it, 180. Raw umber. Okay, we're going to do the raw umber ones, and we're going to go the same way now. You cool with this? I hope so. I find this very therapeutic, which is what it's supposed to be, isn't it? There are no experts in this building, but I tell you what, if you look at the artwork that we're producing, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, girls and boys. Yeah. There we are. Yeah, so Mel's dandelions, those lovely, that artwork I just showed you, that's going to be on the telly, on her chanda, 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Stamps, stencils, dies, and groovy. Yeah. So that'll be good. Yeah. Nice. Stippling. It's controlled though, isn't it? It is controlled. But don't they start to look like a proper owl? Did you used to be a brownie? I've just had a memory. I was a brownie. Hang on. Getting excited now. Right, stick to the grey. I used to be a brownie. I was a sixer, leprechaun. Oh, God, you don't forget, do you? I remember. We lived in Aylesbury. I went to Queen's Park in Aylesbury when I was at junior school. I remember we used to dance around this toadstool. Do you remember? They used to put out a green mat. They put this green mat out and a plastic, like a dish thing that was supposed to be the lake or the pond, and a toadstool, and then we'd all stand round it. Ah, amazing. And I remember Brown Owl. Was it Brown Owl? Yeah, the main one, the main head honcho. She was Susan Cheney's mum. She was lovely, quite a fearsome woman, but really kind. And what I remember about her, this is mental, right? Do you remember those tumble dryers? I mean, they don't do them anymore. Now they're probably illegal. but they had like an opening in the top, and you put your washing in, and then it'd spin like very, very fast, and the water would come out the bottom. Pretty basic. And you'd have this plastic thing. Do you remember? You had this plastic, like a disc. Showing our age now, aren't we, eh? It was like a plastic, like a frisbee. And you'd put it in on the washing before you put the lid down. And then when you put the lid down, off it would go. And then the water would go down underneath, and you'd have to put a bucket underneath to catch the water. It was all state of the art, wasn't it? Do you remember? And then you'd lift the lid, and it would stop. The lid would be the bit that it would stop. But it didn't go starting, stop. It would take time to slow down, quite a long time, because it was obviously going like the clappers. To force water out of the washing, it had to go quite fast, didn't it? And then it would slow down, and then you'd have to wait until it had stopped. I remember my mum taught me well. Before you took the plastic thing off, remember? Before you could take the washing out. Well, brown owl, I remember, not so bright. I can remember she came into, to stand around the toadstool with us all, and her arm was all bandaged up. And the reason was, and why I remember this, I mean, this is a memory that's 50 years old, over 50 years old, well over 50 years old for me. She'd put her hand in before it stopped spinning. Ouch! I know. And every time, this is the weirdest thing, when you there's a lot of retro stuff on telly, and I always think of Brown Owl, the woman that put her, even when they're jiving around, I think of the retro machines that we used to use. Yeah, she put her hand in the spin dryer. That was what it was called, not a tumble dryer. It was a spin dryer. And she put her hand in the spin dryer before it stopped spinning. Ouchie. Yeah. And then when Grace was a nipper, she was a brown owl. She wasn't a brown owl, she was a brownie. And that was in Edenbridge. How are you getting on with your stippling? You bored with it yet? It's going to look great when it's done, though. Don't give up. Don't give up on me, baby. Right. And she was in the brownies, and we had to go into Edenbridge. Well, it's a 15-minute drive into Edenbridge. So by the time you'd driven in, dropped her off, gone home, you had to turn around and go back again, right? So you could either... Well, that was ridiculous. So the brown owl in Edenbridge, she says to me, do you want to be tawny owl? Rather than sit in the car, which serves absolutely no purpose, would you like to help? And would you like to be tawny owl? So, for a very brief period, an extremely brief period, I was tawny owl. Right? But brown owl was quite a bossy woman. In fact, she was a very bossy woman. And I didn't like the way she talked to the girls. I wasn't very impressed, right? And I thought, God, you got a mother in here. You'd think you'd be a little bit better behaved, really, since you've got one of your paying customers in here. But she was really, and she had it in for one of the little girls. And I was quite uncomfortable with the way she used to bark at the girls. But I thought, well, I'm not brown owl. I'm only tawny owl. So I've got to keep my head down, really. It wasn't a paid job. It was a volunteer's job. Okay. So I thought, well, you've got to pick your fights, Barbara, and you're not going to have a fight with blooming brown owl, are you? So, and there wasn't a snowy owl. There was only me. Obviously, snowy owl had run off. So I was tawny owl. Hang on, let me think a minute. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. So we've done that and we've done that. Do you know what? We could go a little bit darker, couldn't we? Should we add a little bit of a 180? Come on then. Yeah. Anyway, on this particular day, there was one of the girls. She was ever such a sweet kid, actually, but she was a little bit hyper. But there you go. Can't all be sluggish, can we? So she was quite hyper, got very excited, my guess is that it was a condition. It wasn't just, she wasn't just an excitable child. There was something not quite, you know, she obviously had ADHD or whatever. Anyway, so Brownout was really quite impatient with her. She didn't have a lot of empathy, and she wasn't very kind to her. And one day, this young girl, Gracie said she was lovely. It was Gracie's friend. Gracie is friends with everyone. Grace said that she got into trouble at school a lot as well because she was very hyper. Anyway, on this particular occasion, I'd already, got to remember, I think I've overcooked it a bit. Right. I'd already I already had my thoughts about Brown Owl and the way that she behaved towards this young girl. So what I'm saying is, this didn't come out of the blue, right? I already had my opinion. But you know what? You can't help the thoughts that come into your head. You just don't have to voice them all, do you? So I'd had my thoughts about it. Anyway, on this particular occasion, this young kid, she was, what shall I do now? Right, a little bit darker grey, do you think? A little bit darker grey in here. Right, light feathery strokes. Just don't want to overcook it. Yeah. This young girl was very hyper on this particular day. And then Brown Owl told her to get in line, and she didn't pay attention. So Brown Owl cracked her around the head. She just reached out. Bearing in mind, Brown Owl didn't have any kids for a start. Now, I've never hit my kids. I've never hit my kids, full stop. And I was speechless. I thought, you can't... Well, I didn't think. At this point, I got verbal, right? And I said, you can't do that. What are you thinking of? You can't be touching and hitting the children just because they don't obey you. Right, so I had this huge row. I had this right Barney with... This is Barn Owl here. Tawny Owl. I had a right Barney with Brown Owl who'd hit this girl round the head. Who was it? I have to say, in tears, right? So I had a right go. And I walked out and I took Grace with me. And I said, I'm not going to leave my child with you because I think you're unhinged. And that was the end of my illustrious career as Tawny Owl. You can't, can you? Eh? Can't bloody slap kids around the head just because they're not listening to you? What's the world coming to? Eh? I did slap Grace once. Got to tell you though, I did slap her once. She would have been, cool, I'll never forget it. You know when you never forget something. She was about, how old would she have been? We were at Ludwell's. She would have been about 9. And Mark would have been about 7. So she would have been 8 or 9 and he would have been about 7. Yeah, that's about right. And we're all right doing this. We're happy fiddling around with this owl. We'll do his legs. Let's do the legs. Okay. So, yeah. And then, yeah, let's do the legs. Sorry, I'm waffling, aren't I? I'm on my own in here. Who else am I going to talk to? There's only you here. So you're going to get the story about when I slapped my daughter. So Mark, he's come upstairs. Let's do the legs. Right, you ready? We're all right. Come on. Come on, we're hanging out. What do you talk about when you hang out? You've got to talk about something, haven't you? I don't want to talk about COVID. I'm sick of it. I've had it up to here. So let's talk about when I slapped Grace. All right? It's funny. So Mark comes upstairs. Let's do the feet. We're going to go right back to the basics again. Golden rule. Start light. Right? Play it safe, remember? So we're going to go to the warm grey. And we'll just add a little bit of an undercoat to this foot. In fact, while we're at it, have you done his feet? Well, let's do all the feet. Mark came upstairs. I used to work, I had an office at the top of the house. And Mark came upstairs and he was crying. And she wouldn't try it now. He's 6'5", but she got away with it. Well, she didn't get away with it. So he came upstairs and he was crying. He said, Grace bit me. Grace bit me. I said, Grace what? He said, she bit me. And you could see the teeth marks in his cheek. So it wasn't like he was waffling. He couldn't bite himself, you know. I said, what do you mean, his sister? She bit me, Mum. Right? Poor little sausage. I said, go and get your sister. So he went and got her. I said, so she came upstairs all sheepish. Well, no, actually, a bit defiant, I think. She's a bit of a defiant Miss Gracie. She's always known her own mind, as they say. So she comes upstairs. I said, did you bite your brother? She says, no. I said, Grace, I'm going to ask you one more time. Did you bite your brother? Do you know what she said to me? She looked at me and she went, oh, she said, I gnawed him a little bit. I gnawed him a little bit. That's what she said. What chance have you got with a kid like that? Try not to laugh when a kid says that to you. I gnawed him a little bit. And that she was such a smart ass, she probably even knew how to spell it, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I slapped her around the face and I said, don't ever. And I remember, because I'd never touched her like that before, only affectionately, I remember slapping her. And her eyes, she was so surprised, so stunned. Her eyes were like hound stalks. She's got these big brown eyes. Mother just slapped me, you know what I mean? I'm surprised she didn't call the Child Protection Agency. I said, the next time you bite your brother, I'll bite you. And I remember then, I went in the loo. I had to go and I rang my dad. I said, Dad, you won't believe what's just happened. I was peeing myself laughing, right? I just thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. I gnawed him a little bit. I rang my dad. I said, you won't believe what Grace has just done, what she just said. I told him. Do you know what? He said, well, who does that remind me of? So there you go. His attitude was, the apple certainly hasn't fallen very far from the tree, Barbara. I said, okay, I'll leave it there then. Yeah, I gnawed him a little bit. So there you go. That was me as Tawny out. That was me as an abusive mother. It's funny what you remember, isn't it? You think about the average age of us lot that are doing this, right? And then think about how many hundreds of us there are, all just colouring in this little owl's foot from Mel, right? Now add up all those hours. Say there's 300 of us or 400 of us, and then say we're all like 60 odd, average age 60. Well, there you go. Get your abacus out and think of all those thousands and thousands of hours of living and memory. Isn't that astounding? You know, collected. So that goes back to what I was saying about how together we're so powerful and much stronger than the sum of our parts. Do you see what I mean? It's crazy, really, isn't it? And I sometimes think that young people, they underestimate us old farts, you know. They do. They think, they're old, they're over the hill, they're has-beens. And you think, wow, do you know, actually, like my dad and my mum, they're in their 80s now. But if I'm having a crisis or I've got an issue, like a problem at work, or I go to my parents and I listen very, very carefully, you know. I mean, there are societies, aren't there, out there where the elders, you know, they rule. They rule. The elders are not silly old people. nearly said silly old sods. They're not just silly old people who are irritating. They're the elders, they're the wise ones, you know, and they should be treated as such. And I think somehow in our society that's been neglected. It's gone a little bit, hasn't it? Have you got your feet sorted out? I'm sort of moving between different colours here. Look, it's lovely. You can get the different browns, different beiges, different... It's quite nice, isn't it? It's just adding shade, really. And when you think you've overcooked it or you don't like it... See, I love that one. So you can add little tiny flashes. I think what is brilliant is when you... Look, I've just given him a really cool ankle. What's really great is when you get completely... When you're playing and you completely lose yourself in what you're doing, like this. Like I'm completely immersed at the moment in what I'm doing here. Do you know what I mean? And that's when it becomes your passion, really, rather than just, I don't know. It's really creative, isn't it? And you could titivate like this, couldn't you, for hours? Don't you find that as well? See, this is quite nice. The back, you see the back area here? If you go in there and then you flick like that, like from the same base plate, like that. See? That looks quite good. But then what I would do, right, just a suggestion, if you wanted to try something different, then go in that area that you've done really dark there, and then you stipple, 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 and then come out of that area as well. See? That looks cool. So you go into where you've got the feathery stripes, and you stipple over the top, but then you come out. Do you know what? That looks so nice. Let me show you up close on the third camera. Hang on. There. Do you see? So what you're doing is you're getting that lovely stripe going up, but then you've got the speckling as well. Doesn't that look smashing? Yes, yes, yes. What a great way to spend an hour. Hey, what's the time? Oh, hello. To it to woo. Can you hear the pigeons? Right, let's have a look. So, I think I've just got to finish that face. I need to do that. That'll be all right though. And then, what's the time? Are we running out of time? 10:02 already. Oh, no, we've got a little bit longer. Do you fancy a little bit longer? Right, so now what we could do is we've done the owls, and really what you want now is the greys. Get your greys. Because if we've done all three, look, I've got loads of greys. Have you got that many as well? That's in that set of 12. But it's also in the big tin, isn't it? But like I said yesterday, if you've only got an HB pencil, you can get fantastic light and shade with that. We know that when we go on our little doodle jaunts. You know what you can do with a pencil. So don't feel disadvantaged because you haven't got loads of greys. And please bear with us if you've ordered them and we haven't got them out to you. That one's out of our hands at the moment. And we are having our little battles. But, you know, you can't... These are unprecedented situations at the moment. You can't... I'm not going to get excited at a company if they don't deliver on time. I can't. We've got a pandemic going on. Any more than, you know, people were getting a bit... Actually, no, that's not true. A couple of people got funny about us not delivering quickly enough at the moment. But I have to say that the vast majority are very gracious. Very gracious. Just, you know, we're good for it. You know, we're not going to run away with your money. Oh, look, I'm sitting here every day. Where am I going? you know. So if you've ordered them, then just give us a few days. They're on the way. They keep saying they're on the way, but they're getting let down. It's a chain. It's the chain reaction. It's the chain, and it all goes back to the factory, which is completely overwhelmed. Obviously, who knows what's going on. And then you go to the pencil making factory, and then you think, right, okay, so Faber-Castell. But then if they can't get the wood, and so it goes on. Do you see? It's a chain. And we just have to just be patient. Right, so what we're doing now, look, I'm starting to build, see shadow? So I'm taking a darker colour. Which one have I got here? Warm grey 5. So it's the darkest one before I go to the Payne's grey. Warm grey 5. You can go to any one you fancy. It depends how dark your picture is to begin with, doesn't it? Because you can't suddenly go, if you've got quite a delicate owl, because you've got quite a delicate hand or delicate taste, then the last thing you want to do is go straight to black. So you're going to pick the next number down. And then what we'll do is we'll add depth. Watch how we, like round here now, for example, just gently does it. We're just going to add a little bit of depth. Not stripes though, that would look too weird. See, this is almost a bit dark, but there you go. Just going to add a little bit of depth. And you could do this with a pencil, couldn't you? You know you could. And then we'll add a little bit of depth in there. This is when it starts to pop, watch. It's cool. This is the best bit, isn't it? I haven't done his nose, his beak. I've just realised. I'll do that later. I thought, cool, his beak looks a bit bright. I've got to do his beak. See, I did the beak on that one. Nice. So I just have to transfer the beak from there to there. That'll keep me out of trouble today. See, we've got a bit of yellow. I like his yellow on that one better. So I've got to do a bit of yellow there as well. I'll just do a bit of transfer. It's okay. I'm just showing you the tricks. But you see how this one has got a really nice shadow underneath there? See? That's it. That's it. And that's what I'm going to do there. I'm just going to introduce. I'm going to stick with this one. So I've got 2 on the go here. Because I sort of play away. I play ahead of you, don't I? So that I know where we're headed. So I've always got to go backwards and forwards. It's all right. It's good practice. It's good practice. That's it. Oh, I think I'm going to run out of time. I can see it flashing. Look, it's going, yes. You know, I'm down to 1 bar and it's going like that. So that means, Steve, any minute now, I'm going to run out of chuff. I can feel it. Oh, there's the petrol station in the distance and we're just coming down to it. Yeah, it's definitely flashing now. Uh-oh. So I tell you what we'll do. We'll stop there so that we don't suddenly have this moment where I stopped. So I wish you a fabulous Wednesday. Don't forget to watch at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock on hochanda.com. Those dandelions, those images by Mel. And have a look at your postcards and put your cartographer's head on, your map drawer's head, and then you'll see it's fabulous. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock and we'll start on the leaves and the branches and we'll do that. How's that sound? Yeah? Be safe. I've got pottery this afternoon. Woohoo! Time to turn the pots that I threw on Friday last week. Yes, I do like pottery. You've got to get it where you can, as they say. Hey? Enjoy your Wednesday and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Lots of love. Bye-bye now.